So let's bring in senior national political reporter for NBC News, Sahil Kapoor. Sahil, you have new reporting on the specific signs Republicans hope for a red wave are receding ahead of the 2022 elections. What are those signs?
Mika, it's been such a stark shift from last fall and earlier this year. Remember, after that Virginia election, Republicans stormed a victory in the governor's race with Glenn Youngkin. They nearly won a stunner of a victory in New Jersey. They were so optimistic and bullish about a red wave. But now you have to squint very hard to see any signs of a red wave, as you all have been talking about on this panel. And the signs are everywhere. The most recent one was that special election in Hudson Valley, just north of New York City. That has been a bellwether district that has tracked the national mood for years. Democrats should have no business even competing there if it was anything resembling a red wave climate. Yet the Democrat, Pat Ryan, won against a Republican, Mark Molinaro, by a larger margin than President Biden won in 2020. That suggests something is going on. Our poll shows that persuadable voters are trending toward Democrats. They were in favor of Republicans by 6 points earlier this year. Now they're in favor of Democrats by 3 points, which is so unusual in an election year for the party in power. We see the Republican enthusiasm gap shrinking in our poll as well, 17 points earlier this year to just 2 points now. McConnell, as you guys have been mentioning, downplaying his expectations in the Senate. He had that moment of candor talking about candidate quality. McConnell has these frank moments occasionally. He has a tendency to walk them back. He has to remain optimistic about Pennsylvania and Georgia. He's not becoming majority leader if Republicans lose those seats. Beyond that, there's Republicans, the fact that Republicans have to spend even a penny in Ohio, as Joe was just mentioning, that state voted Republican by 12.5 points more than the country as a whole did. That should be a wide open layup this year, in a year like this. Yet Republicans may be fumbling the ball there. They have to go in and prop up J.D. Vance rather than seeing him coast to a victory. Now, what are the causes of this? Everyone is looking at the Supreme Court abortion decision. That's been huge. That has galvanized Democratic voters. That has woken up a number of abortion rights supporters who had taken this for granted, maybe over years, maybe over decades. I think declining gas prices have a lot to do with it. That was a reason that President Biden's approval went down in the first place. And of course, the reemergence of Trump reminds independent voters who are very alienated by him that he's still out there, that he's still reasserting his dominance over the Republican Party, that he still controls this party to a large degree. And it is making it harder for Republicans like McConnell to make this a referendum on President Biden. It is actually playing into Democrats' hands in a sense of making this a choice between Democrats, the party in power now, and what they call the MAGA Republicans, the Trump Republicans. You add it up, Republicans at this point should not feel too pessimistic. They still have a lot of opportunities given these slender margins to take control of Congress. But you can certainly see a road where they end up losing the possibility of capturing the Senate and keeping it very close, if not even losing the House.
Sahil, hey, it's Heilman. I know you know that there's not even a trace of cynicism in my body, so I would never suggest anything like that Mitch McConnell held this series of fundraisers because he was getting so much blowback from Republican donors who are mad about the fact there's been so much leakage out of McConnell's world about him giving up on certain candidates. I would never suggest that. Instead, I would merely ask you this question, and I know you're dialed in, so I'm gonna ask you, on the basis of all of your reporting, everything that you know right now, among the 5 important Senate races that we've been talking about, where Republicans thought they were going into this, thought they would be able to win all 5 of these: Ohio, Pennsylvania, Arizona, North Carolina, and Georgia. Which of those is Mitch McConnell, in his heart of hearts, truly most pessimistic about and most optimistic about?
Well, most optimistic is easy, John. I would say North Carolina. Ted Budd is doing pretty well there. Republicans have, they have avoided some of the traps in North Carolina, let's say, that they've fallen into in other states. I would say Nevada is one where Republicans are cautiously optimistic because they got the candidate they want. They have Adam Laxalt. He's not a rookie. He's not a first-time candidate. He's not someone, Donald Trump plucked because of his celebrity status or because of his friendship like these other races. They believe he can do the job, and Nevada structurally seems to be trending this year, at least, toward Republicans. If you look at huge voter registration advantages that they've picked up. In terms of pessimistic, I would say probably Pennsylvania, John. The fact that Dr. Oz has been trending by double digits in some polls is stunning. in a state as tight as Pennsylvania that should be pretty friendly to Republicans in a year like this when the Democrats are in full control. Think about how well they did the last time a Democrat was in the White House. And beyond that, I think it's very obvious to see that the Republican candidate, Blake Masters, is struggling in Arizona. I would put that in the somewhat pessimistic category. And then Georgia is a little bit difficult to tell. You know, Republicans feel the fundamentals in Georgia are pretty good for them. Herschel Walker is a candidate that a lot of McConnell advisors did not want to be the nominee early on. Some of them were pretty public about the fact that he has a problematic past that is going to be used against him. We see exactly that happening right now. But I would put Georgia in the how do you describe it? Not optimistic, not super pessimistic. I would say Georgia is probably a coin flip to them.
Senior